it's a rebuild. They need more high-end young talent. This is one way to get it.
And Briere said as much during exit interviews when asked about where they are in the process and all that. He says, the bulk of it still needs to be done through our young guys, mostly through the draft. I still believe with the pick that you mentioned that we can get a very talented player. They are looking to continue to bolster the asset, the group of assets, in hopes that the sum of the parts works or someone just hits one out of the park. Either could happen. It's hard not to agree with them that they still need these guys when you look at the prospect pool.
Yeah. So let's take a look at our prospect pool. Our great producer Brant put this together. It's not like it lacks talent. I still think this is probably on the whole, and obviously the presence of Matvei Michkov plays a big part in this. I would say that it is probably a top 10 prospect pool in the league. It's very strong at wing. Again, Michkov plays a big role there, but you got Tuomaala, who's a very intriguing prospect, second-round pick. You got Denver Barkey. Now, some people might say, yeah, maybe he can stick down the middle. Given his size, I think it's pretty unlikely. You can never rule it out entirely, but he more or less told me in the interview I did with him for all PHLY in the spring, or late winter, early spring, that he's starting to see himself more as a wing. Devin Kaplan is an intriguing wing project. Alex Chiernik, an intriguing project. Guy who's going to take a little bit. Lixell, we'll see how that shakes out. He's obviously on the older end. Rizzo, he's signed. He's part of this. Avon's
eligible to play for the Phantoms in the playoffs.
Exactly. Avon is an intriguing, like, Darryl Powell type bottom six winger. Powell right in the kisser. The wingers look pretty strong. The goalie situation looks pretty strong. You got Kolosov, you got Zavragin, you got Bjarnason, who was a second-round pick. You obviously just brought Fedotov over, and Erson's pretty young. Goalie's pretty solid. Right shot D, pretty strong too. There's one glaring issue here.
Oh, my God.
That center depth is
the center position doesn't exist, basically.
Like, Elliot Desnoyers is their top center prospect. He is more of a Scott Lawton type center, where I don't think he is a pure center in terms of the way he thinks of the game. It's just he can play everything. And he had, like, single-digit goals this year. He took a big step back in terms of his offensive development. I think he can still be an NHL player. I think they still believe that. But last year definitely cut down on the likelihood that he can be, more
an
than
impact player.
Yeah, more than a Scott Lawton type. Like, that now very much looks like his best case scenario ceiling. Whereas last year you were thinking, hey, maybe he could be one of those overachievers. And he's your best center prospect. Owen McLaughlin, who I like a lot, we ranked him 14th in our top 20 list in February. He still needs to put on a lot of weight. Had a real good year this past year in college, but he's not moving the needle. Then you got Cole Knuble, who had a good second half for Notre Dame, but, like, he's probably a fourth-line center. Center is very clearly the weak point in this organization.
If his last name isn't Knuble, does he get drafted by the Philadelphia Flyers?
Probably not, but that doesn't mean he was a bad pick.
I'm not saying it was a bad... I'm just saying, like, that's your third best center prospect, and it's like, I'm not going to use the derogatory term Nepo baby. But
I'm sure it didn't hurt.
But, like, it's certain, like, I look at them taking Cole Knuble, and I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. That was I really liked...
How good is this guy really?
I really like Danny Briere's draft in 2023, his first draft that he ran, obviously, in large part because of Michkov. But I also think that, picks like Barkey and Chiernik, those are the kinds of picks I want you, like, big swing picks in the mid-round on guys with skill that are probably a little bit smaller, and that's why they slip. There's some questions about translatability. Those are the guys that it's good to take swings on. Knuble was the only pick in the moment where I was like, oh, that's a classic Flyers pick. That's such a Flyers pick.
And, like, fine. It's the middle rounds. He's got as much chance to turn it out as anyone in the middle rounds. But it's just like, that's your third best center prospect. And everyone goes, because of his last,
And I like Owen McDonald. Like, we had somebody pop in here, K-Rod, who the fuck is Owen McDonald or Owen McLaughlin? I like him as a prospect. He had a really good year this year, a breakout year for the University of North Dakota. I've watched him play quite a bit. And unlike Desnoyers, who I just think is like a spark plug everywhere, I watch Owen McLaughlin play, and I see a guy who plays like a center. I think he is one of those under the radar, intriguing prospects in the organization who, like, he might have legitimate third line center NHL potential where he could be, in that middle to bottom six area where he scores you some points. He's creative. He's a very high hockey IQ guy from what I've seen, both the development camp and when I've had the chance to watch him play. Owen McLaughlin is intriguing to me. If Owen McLaughlin is maybe your best center prospect and your centers at the NHL level aren't all that great either, that's concerning.
I was going to say, like, if you have this center depth in your system, you're like, oh, is this like, this is probably the Oilers? And it's, why would we need center depth? We have McDavid and Draisaitl.
Yeah.
And it's Sean Couturier, who knows?
Yeah.
Morgan Frost, the coach doesn't like him. And Scott Lawton, who may or may not even be here, or he's better at wing.
Well, I mean, you got Ryan Poehling.
And Ryan Poehling.
1C Ryan Poehling.
Yeah, 1C Ryan Poehling, who I like Ryan Poehling a lot. If he's your most effective center, here's a damn good reason you didn't make the playoffs.
You're going to have a bad time. So we do have a super chat here from
the super chat.
Brandon Keene. $10 Canadian dollars. Thank you, Brandon Keene.
That's only like $3.
Yeah, I mean, the translation isn't great. But
I'm joking.
Thank you so much, Brandon. Knowing what you know about the prospects at the moment, which two players would you target if they pull the trade with Florida's first and Lawton and at 8 and 12? Well, I mean, it would be 11 and 12, I believe, because that's where pull a trade with Florida? Oh, with Florida's
Florida
first and Lawton.
So that would be up to 8.
So that would be trading Lawton to Seattle.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, maybe. I don't know. Dave Haxtell?
Yeah.
Sure.
Who's to say?
It's a good question. As I said earlier, have not done a ton of research. I like the idea of, if I'm at 8, finding a way to get a center. And there are some centers in here. I think there's obviously Celebrini is going to be gone. It seems like, reading the tea leaves, that Caden Lidstrom is going to be gone. He's got the size. He's got that factor that the other teams tend to really like in centers. Berkeley Catton's intriguing to me because he's small, but he's fast. And those guys, like, they can slip a little bit because teams get worried. He had great production in juniors this past year. He would be an intriguing guy for me at 8 because I think it's unlikely he slips to 12. At 12, I would probably just pick the best player available. But I like the idea, if you were to get up to 8 in that back half of the top 10, we just talked about center depth. I'm not in favor of drafting for need, but I think there's a decent chance that the best player available might also be at a position of need if you're at 8.
Yeah. Just because, like, and listen, I'll do my research. I do every year. I'm not there yet. I know that everyone thinks this draft is better for defensemen.
It is, but that doesn't mean it lacks positional value elsewhere. It's just there are a lot of defensemen that are going to go in the top 15.
Yes, if I were to just answer this question, give me that, was it Zeev Boom? How do you say the kid from Denver's
I am
name?
not even going to try to get these pronunciations right because I'm going to fuck them up.
Yeah.
So let me learn how to correctly pronounce these guys' names, and then I will say their names.
Him and his
Berkeley
brother,
Catton's easy, so I'm not going to try.
Him and his brother just played together and won the national championship at Denver. Give me that kid on the back
Again,
end.
you got to give me time to do my research. Part of the research is learning how to pronounce everybody's name correctly.
That's what makes honestly the premium elite prospects such a great investment.
It's extremely useful.
You just click the little thing. It has the pronunciation. It's awesome for you.
Sure is.
So let's get to how they might be able to fill this positional need that they have at center. Just looking at some of these guys. Obviously, Macklin Celebrini. I like how you have this listed here. The top tier 1, Macklin Celebrini. Tier 2, everyone else.
Well, that's the way it is, though.
Yeah.
Like, Celebrini is in his own
We've
tier.
known this for a year
because everyone knows he's going 1. There was a point where, I think at the start of the year, Cole Yzerman was viewed as a potential guy who could jump him. If anything, his value has slipped over the course of the year to the point where I think it's plausible he could slip all the way to 12. Because teams just view him as a one-dimensional shooter, just a really good one-dimensional shooter, but a one-dimensional shooter. He was involved. Ivan Demidov, because you got to do the second pronunciation, the second syllable pronunciation. He was talked about a little bit, but like there's the Russia factor. It seems very clear that it's Celebrini. But you've got like as strong of a class as this is on defense, and it is. It's deep, not just in this tier, but in the tiers lower. You could fill any of these positions. Like the only position you don't have is goal, but goalies don't usually go in the first round anymore. Anyway, you've got 3 centers, you've got 3 wingers, and Demidov, some people theorize he could be a center. We shall see.
Just a guy who
I haven't watched enough tape to have an opinion on whether he could be a center or not. I tend with those guys to assume they're probably going to be wings, but some people think he can be a center. But then you've got guys like Yzerman, pure wing, Iginla, who's obviously the son of Jerome Iginla. Everybody's going to think that'd be a cool pick.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's cool because Iginla's cool.
Yeah. Jerome Iginla was the man.
But while we're talking about every time I see Cole Yzerman's name written, I just think, like, how weird is it that he's not, like, Steve Yzerman? Like, it's not. No, it's a totally different guy.
Totally different guy. Totally different spelling.
It's like Barclay Goodrow. Like it's not.
It's not Goudreau.
It's not Goudreau. It's totally different.
Good row.
Yeah, it's actually spelled the way you say it.
But the reason why I wanted to bring this up,
okay.
number one, is because all of these guys pretty much are in the same tier after Celebrini. And there's a lot of different positions you could pick to address with that 12th overall pick. It just depends on who slips. Because you've got where you got 1 and then you got 12 guys. Flyers are at 12. So that would theoretically take you all the way to 13. Now, the Flyers at 12, the negative of being at that pick is that you don't get to choose from this tier. But you're going to get someone pretty darn good who gets to 12. You said before the show, in very Philadelphia fan fashion, this could actually be good for the Flyers because they just have to take who's left. They can't screw up the pick.
Yeah, like if there's only like 12 or 13 guys who like belong in that tier, that means they don't get to be the team that stretches for someone. You get to just take who's left. The prospect tiers, like I find it a little I find it a relief that even though the Flyers did not make the playoffs and they end up kind of in this no man's land at 12,
yes,
they're basically going to be picking someone from this established tier of guys.
Yes.
Like from 2 to 13 is basically the same. It just depends on the order.
Yeah, and obviously some of those guys are going to be great and some of those guys are going to be bust, and you just hope you get one of the guys who isn't. But I don't think, I think everyone in this tier 2, the general, and there's going to be differences of opinion in the scouting community, but the generally accepted view is that everybody in that tier 2 is like top of the lineup talent. Not necessarily superstar, like Celebrini is the potential superstar. And there's always guys who are projected as top of the lineup talents, and then become superstars. Like that's how you get Anze Kopitar, becomes a Hall of Famer, isn't taken in the top 5, whatever. But I would say generally speaking, all of these guys are viewed, whether it's project types, like there's some projects here, whether there's some more immediate guys. These guys are all generally viewed as potential top of the lineup guys. Like whoever, if the Flyers get one of these guys, which I expect they will, unless there's somebody else they decide they like a lot better who isn't on this list, I would assume that player would immediately jump, maybe even Oliver Bonk on the Flyers prospect list.
Really?
It would be close. Then it would just depend upon, but like if they got like Berkeley Catton, I would immediately put him over Bonk. I like Bonk a lot. Obviously not over Mitchkov, but I put him over Bonk because I still look at Bonk as a guy who, like, best case scenario is a 2. Whereas some of these guys, you're like, all right, a lot of these defensemen, you're like, best case scenario, like Sam Dickinson could be a 1. You know, Vasiliev, given the upside that he has, given the huge friggin' Russian defenseman who can skate pretty darn well for his size, like they have the upside to be number 1s. I would put guys with those upsides over someone who I think tops out as a 2 at the absolute best.
Siliev was my guy early when you told me about him like months ago because you were like, he's like 6'7". It's like, oh yeah, give me that, dope. But now just looking at all the names, man, it's hard not to love Carter Yakimchuk. I picked Cutter Gauthier based solely on his name.
See how that went for you.
Oh, he was a good prospect.
Yeah, he was a good prospect.
You know?
The little reading I've done on him on this Carter
Yakimchuk
is that he would be a cool Flyers pick because he is big. He's offensively talented, but he has like a mean streak.
Oh, that's exactly what they need.
Flyers fans, I think, would dig him.
They need a big, mean asshole who can also score a little bit. Just some. You know,
Just a little.
Chris Pronger.
Just
He scored a little more than a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he was one
excellent.
of the best
He
defensemen
won MVP
of his era, to be sure. But yeah, this is just kind of a general look at the draft. I'm going to have a lot more information on these guys over the next few weeks and months. We'll be doing videos. We'll obviously have entire shows on players, positions, draft needs, things like that. But for now, I think this is just a good time to give a little overview. Like this is 101. We'll get into 201 and 301 and 401 down the road. This is just giving you the idea. This is where the Flyers are probably going to pick. This is what their prospect pool looks like now. These are the guys who generally are accepted to be the top choices that are likely to be available at the pick the Flyers are likely to select at.
We all silly like the mayor.